And then there's the enclave model, which is effectively the way the Abu Dhabi global market and the DIFC operate. What I mean by an enclave model is if you cross the street out there, Al Sukuk Street, you leave the DIFC. Somebody spills a cup of coffee on you in this room and you want to sue for damages for your lost suit or your burn. You go to a court over there, staffed by judges mainly from England but other common law countries. You sue under a law of obligations, very much like the law of tort in England, and you recover damages in a traditional way, and for that matter you recover your costs if you're successful. Over the street you file a criminal complaint which is dealt with by the police. It goes before civil courts, and as part of the normal civil law tradition, your right to damages is addressed as part of the criminal action. So it's a different legal system. The law of contract here is different. There are trusts here, there are foundations here. Over the street, there are not, although as the Supreme Court in England held in Akers and Samba just last year, English trust law of trusts will be enforced in relation to assets that are in non-trust jurisdictions. The Abu Dhabi global market, also an enclave model, but has adopted common law differently. There is basically a statement that English law applies, subject to a number of regulations, whereas here there's been an attempt to codify it to a large extent. Different views about that. The Abu Dhabi global market argument is that it enables people from the international legal community, in particular and financial community, to assume effectively that things are much the same as in London. The argument against it would be that none of that's much use if you want to encourage local use. For example, if you want to say to someone in the Middle East, set up a trust, in answer to the question, what's a trust? In the Abu Dhabi global market, you give them a copy of Underhill Trust, which is 1,000 pages long, and so you'll find it all in there. Here you look at trust law, which has currently 69 sections. It's about to have 83. So Qatar basically, apart from being the club model in the sense that you are bound, if you're part of the club then the rules that bind you, but otherwise they don't, has much the same law as the DIFC in a private law sense, so that, for example, the contract law is word for word the DIFC's law. The trust law is pretty much word for word the original DIFC trust law. Bahrain has gone its own way, but is now the first jurisdiction to fully recognise the operation of trust law throughout the whole of the kingdom. That law was enacted towards at the beginning of last year. So there are some very major changes, and the interesting thing really is that all of this is now effectively going onshore. Dubai has just passed a law which recognises in onshore Dubai the validity and effectiveness of dispositions made under the DIFC trust law. As I say, in Bahrain and Qatar, trust law applies quite easily to any asset and will be enforced by local courts. So there are significant differences, but there's a general pattern, and the general pattern is that the wealth structuring models that are available in more sophisticated commercial jurisdictions are going to be available here and increasingly available for all assets everywhere.
Thank you very much. Lawrence, the question I've asked the audience is, to what extent do you feel confident in discussing these issues with clients? So in Asia, the typical private banker struggles to talk about some of these issues because it's ultimately complicated and maybe, they just don't understand. So one of the questions is, what are some of the new tools in the toolkit, or sort of, structures the client should be considering? And how would you explain to anybody in how to engage clients in these types of conversations?
Right, thank you. Education has been mentioned a few times today, and the evolution of the financial system here and the people giving that advice, which is adding to the question. But if I could just tag it along with something that I wanted to add to things that have